Welcome back to the When Dreams and Action Collide podcast. I'm your host, Joy Lene, your productivity powerhouse, and I am really excited about today's episode. I'm doing a little bit of a two-part series called Get It Together at Home Christmas Edition. So last week I talked about simplifying your schedule and how you can actually do this in the midst of a crazy busy holiday season. It really is learning how to create margin, planning your rest times, knowing what to do, and just really being intentional about your time. I also chatted about simplifying your routines during this time, mainly so things don't get out of control. So you don't have to overhaul your routines, but it's just so things don't go crazy. And so today I'm actually going to be talking about decluttering, specifically as we enter, the Christmas season and even a little bit afterwards. But if you want to go a little bit more in depth about, just decluttering like different areas, then I would probably say, go check out my first episode with my Get It Together at Home series on clearing the clutter, because that's a little bit more in depth. This is going to be this one's going to cover, general clutter, but mostly it's focusing on kids clutter, especially because this time of year, parents almost dread this time because they know like a lot of stuff could potentially be coming in. So I'm going to be a little bit more specific in this episode. But if you just want general decluttering, then go to that one. This one's going to be a little bit more specific. I've actually been waiting all year long to do this episode because I got this idea last year to do it, but I haven't even started my podcast yet. Because this is just something that I've done for quite a few years, and it is literally so helpful. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a plan, some helpful tips to make this time decluttering easy. I know you might be saying this is probably like the worst time to be decluttering because I am so busy and I have so much on. But what I'm going to say is if you can, the tips I'm going to give you, they're very simple. And if you can just implement them here and there, you'll actually find that this is going to make it easier in the Christmas time as well as even afterwards. Okay. We'll also chat a little bit about gift giving when it comes to kids. So some things that we do and have done here and there, and which they've been quite helpful. Okay. So you can tell I'm super excited. So here are just a few tips on decluttering over the holidays. Again, I highly suggest you do it. And if you just follow these simple tips, they're not anything major. Most of the tips are like 5-10 minutes. Even if you could do something 5-10 minutes a day, you can, or 5-10 minutes a week, you'll be all right. Okay. I actually do suggest you don't do a mass decluttering session. I actually stick to the little tidbits that I give you. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to take an entire Saturday or a weekend to declutter. I actually don't even suggest doing that. Just do a few little things here and there. Okay. So what you do want to do is, again, you just want to do little things here and there as you see them come up. Be very intentional about this. So my first example is when you're setting up your Christmas stuff. Now, I'm sure pretty much a lot of us have already set up our Christmas stuff, but hey, go back to your boxes because this is what you're going to do. When you're setting up your Christmas stuff, notice what you don't like anymore or don't use anymore and immediately get rid of it. Put it in a donation bin. If things are broken, chuck it out. So if you haven't actually done this, you just kind of like chuck the crappy stuff back in the box and you're like, whatever, I've set up my nice things. Then go back in the boxes and go, okay, what don't I like anymore? Am I really going to use this again? Now, I'll just put a little tidbit in there. I have different color decorations and every year I kind of change things up. So there are some things in my boxes that I have not used this year, but it's because it's just a different color scheme. But it's a generic color that I might use next year. So I do keep those. But there are a couple of things in there that I'm like, I actually haven't put that out for 2 or 3 years. I think I'm going to get rid of it. It's not really my style. Maybe it was given to me, or maybe I picked it up on a whim going, oh, it was so cheap or something like that. And I'm like, no, I haven't used it, not going to use it. And I just took it immediately and was like, this is what I'm going to do. Broken ornaments, unless it was really like a keepsake or something that I wanted to keep, even if it's broken and I couldn't put it up, on my Christmas tree or something, but I still wanted to keep it. Could be an heirloom. My mom always gives our kids ornaments every year. So, I still keep those kind of in a box. But if it's stuff that you literally like, I'm not keeping it, I'm never going to use it again, it just keeps going back in the box every year, you really need to make a decision on what you want to do about it. So yeah, that's one example. Your Christmas stuff, declutter that. I've even gotten down to, I always try to keep my things in so many boxes because growing up, we had a lot of boxes and they grew and grew and grew. And when we had to move, the Christmas stuff seemed to get bigger and bigger. So I tend to like go, I've got this many boxes and everything has to fit in there. If I kind of change the scheme, the boxes have grown a little bit, but I try not to do that too much. I always go back. If I'm getting new stuff, I go, what can I ditch to be able to fit the new stuff? Okay, so that's one example. You can do this with all areas of your life, okay? Or all areas of your home is what I'm saying. Is, in the kitchen, is there something that you're just not using? Like, just you pulled out the drawer and you're like, okay, I don't use these utensils anymore. Just quickly pull them out. So yeah, when you're going along in life and you're just doing things, notice what things that you just don't use and that you can just pull out quickly. Maybe this is when you're like doing the kids' laundry and you notice, oh, these clothes are too small for them, or they're ripped or something. Just deal with it right then. It's like a 2-second decision, and it may take you like 1 or 2 minutes to decide what you're going to do. So whether for me, I have 2 sons, one's 10, one's almost 5, and so and I have a daughter who's in the middle of there. So I just kind of like go, does my 10-year-old, okay, he can't fit in those clothes, but I'm going to save him for the 5-year-old. So I immediately put them in the box that is going to be for my 5-year-old when he gets 10. Same with my daughter. Obviously we give her clothes away. So I put them in a stack. Just do this. Like, it's gotten too small or it's ripped. Nobody's going to have it. Is it good enough to be donated? Probably not. Is it used for a rag? Whatever you want to do. Just make the decision. It's literally 1 or 2 seconds, 1 or 2 minutes to do what you need to do. So just start there. 5 to 10 minutes of decision making. It actually adds up as you begin to do it. So when it comes to the kids' stuff, this can honestly be the easiest time to declutter, especially your kids' toys and things that probably have taken over your house in the last year. And this is a good time to get your kids involved. When my kids were a little bit younger, probably about 3 or 4 and under, I didn't really involve them in the process. Just depending on what, I think it's at that age, sometimes you just don't need to. Maybe if they're older, you don't need to. It's up to you. But this is a good time to be able to include them because you can actually have a genuine conversation and say, we're going to be getting new stuff in. We need to make room for that. If the stuff is in good condition, you might say, would you like to give this to another kid who would enjoy it? Or are you happy to donate it? Because you know that, another kid will again enjoy it. So this is a great time to talk to your kids because they can understand the concept of giving a little bit more. You can use things like in our town, we have a toy library. So you can donate toys to the toy library. I think this is great. This has been so good because I actually tell my kids, we're actually members of the toy library. And I tell my kids, all right, the really good toys we're going to give to the toy library. And sometimes they might be like, oh no, but I really want to play with it. Even though in your mind, you're like, you haven't played with this for months. But it's easier for them to do it because I say, well, if you want to check it out, we'll just check it out again when you want to play with it. And oh my gosh, everything that we have donated, only once have we actually checked out something that we've donated. And this was because my 10-year-old, when he was about 5 or 6, we donated something. And then only my 4-year-old when we, he kind of got into going and looking stuff at the toy library, he wanted to check out that same thing. It's only happened once. They've never checked out anything else, believe me. So this is a great thing. Donating it to friends that they know that would love, that thing. So this is a great time. This is also a really good time to clean out all that school paperwork, that artwork that they get sent home. You can just talk to them about, hey, let's take a photo. Maybe they might want to use it. I know that this is crafty, but people, use it. Hey, you can use it as wrapping paper and maybe send grandma or grandpa something in it. So make the experience fun. Don't make it dreading, but just be intentional and say, hey, look, this is a time when we can create space for the things that will be coming in. I've actually honestly started this with my kids about a couple of weeks ago. And honestly, it's made a big difference because their cleanup time has literally been cut in half. I've been doing the same. If there's something I don't use, or I open a drawer or something again, I put it straight into like a donation bag. I've even already actually dropped a big, huge bag off of the donation place, like the op shop, the thrift store, this week. And I was amazed. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get like a little bag or two because we kind of keep things, pretty good. But I was like, oh, wow, there was a lot. So I did a drop off. So yeah, like I said, it's a very simple decluttering, nothing major, because I also think like after Christmas is especially a good time for kids to do it. So say your kid is just not, they're like, no, I don't want to give this away. I would say try it now before Christmas, but then also try again after Christmas because they would have seen like their new stuff in. So you can go back and say, hey, you got some new stuff. We need to make room for that stuff. So what are you willing to give away? You've received things, that kind of thing. Again, you don't even have to go into depth after Christmas. It's just a good time to, encourage them to say, what are you really playing with? And now that you have new stuff, what do you want? What old stuff do you want to give away to make room for it? If you do need boundaries for these things, especially with kids, then you might need to set up like certain spots or toy bins and just say, whatever fits in this nicely, not packed in, then we can keep. But anything else, we're going to have to talk about it. So, if you feel like you need, like you have a very small space and you need to set boundaries, you might need to chat that with your kids and see what you want to do. There's tons of things on Pinterest of what you can do. You can be like, okay, here's 3 bins per kids, per kid in the house. You can fit whatever you can fit in these boxes nicely. And in an orderly way is what you can keep. Anything else we're gonna have to talk about it and see what we'll do. Okay. So that's just very, very, very scratching the surface of decluttering before Christmas. But I just highly encourage it because when you do this, it does make it less stressful. And also when you get new stuff, it makes it less stressful because I feel like after Christmas, parents are just like, oh my gosh, why did I give them all this stuff? And we're going to talk about this as we move into gifts, but this can make it a little bit simpler. Now, it doesn't mean that you can just go buy tons more gifts. I actually don't suggest that. I suggest being intentional, which is what I'm going to say. So moving on to gifts. So here you've done a great decluttering session, but then again, like I said, parents then go and buy their kids everything. And then they wonder why they're so stressed. So I'm not saying don't buy your kids things, but I'm going to use the word intentional. You need to start being intentional with what you are buying and what you are bringing into your house. Just because your child asks for something does not mean that you have to get it for them. Just because there's tons of things on their list does not mean you have to get everything on their list. In fact, I would say don't get everything on their list because this makes kids resilient and they need to learn that just because they ask for it doesn't mean they're always going to get it. And this is good for these kids' day and age. I feel like kids are they're not being told no enough. And then, we're wondering why our kids have major mental health problems, because we don't want to say no. We don't want to set boundaries. I won't really go into all that, but we need to learn to say no. And so I actually think it's very good that, hey, write your list. What are some things you want to do? We'll see what we can get onto it and just really be honest with your kids. And don't be racking up your credit card or spending money that you don't have just to be like, oh, I've got to get my kids something. I'm going to tell you something. When I actually remember this Christmas so clearly, I think I was about 7, maybe or 8. Our parents were having, I think, a rough time with money. I'm not really sure if my dad had lost his job right before Christmas. I don't really know the whole thing. But my parents sat my brother and I down, and they said, look, this Christmas is going to look a little bit different. We're not going to be able to get a lot of stuff. And in fact, we didn't know it at that name of like Kris Kringle, but it was kind of like, each of us are just going to buy one present for the other person. And they took us to like a store. I think they took us in the States. It's called Thrifty. It's literally like a pharmacy. And we had to pick out one present for each other. And I think, I can't remember. I think I got my dad and I'm 7 years old. So I got him like this little toy pool table kit. Um, it must have been like literally $5. And that's what I got from my dad. My brother got me, and he got me this one thing. It was a Barbie doll outfit, and like one outfit, like a shirt, a skirt, and some shoes, and that was it. Anyways, I remember this Christmas so vividly because even though we didn't have a lot, it was so special. We made that Christmas, my parents made that Christmas so special. It's a highlight of my life because I remember we had Christmas Eve dinner. My mom was like, I'm going to cook Christmas Eve dinner. Again, we're not going to have a lot. We still ate food. It was delicious. And we sat down and watched Babes in Toyland, the Christmas movie. And then the next morning we opened our one gift each. I think my parents might have gotten us something else, but I honestly don't remember what else I got. I remember I got a Barbie outfit. And it was just the best Christmas, the best and most memorable Christmas. I can't say if it was memorable because we didn't have a lot, but I remember that Christmas and I was not disappointed whatsoever. I absolutely enjoyed it. And I'm so glad my parents sat us down and just were very real with us. And I just think that that's just a little to say. I think we need to be able to sit down with our kids, talk with them, and not give them everything and spend money that we don't have. Or maybe you do have the money, but hey, you don't need to buy all the toys. Maybe do something that's more of an experience or save the money. Just have a conversation with your kids. It doesn't matter how young they are. Maybe obviously like 3 or 4 and onwards, they'll understand and they'll be very thankful for it when they get older. They might throw a fit now, but they'll be all right. So you want to be, going back to gifts, you want to be intentional. Really consider what's on their list. See what you really want to get them. I mean, it doesn't mean that you don't love them. In fact, you actually love them more if you're a bit more intentional about what you get them. What are things that are going to really stimulate play? And I'm not going to go into all these details. You can find great podcasts on people recommending really good gifts that stimulate play. They're not just video games or, things that always need batteries. They're actually genuine, really good toys. There's some toys that my kids have that we will keep forever, okay? Because even when my kids grow out of them, I will have them in my house for all the other little kids that will come to my house. And some of those are Magnetiles. So I think those are a great gift. Duplo. We also have a wooden train track set. So these are things that I will keep. And believe me, they're very limited. We have a box that's as full as they get. We might add to them if they can have a little bit more, but like the Duplo, we're pretty much done. The train tracks, we're done. Magnetiles, we probably could add a little bit more. But these things any age kid can do, and it's so great. And I just think these are toys that can grow with them. They can use their imagination. It's not like they, when the batteries dies, they can't really use it. So just think a little bit differently about the toys. Now, obviously, if they get older, like last year, we bought our son a laser tag set, and he absolutely loves it. So, and that was, he's 9, and I actually was like, what are we going to get this 9-year-old? Like, he's getting a little bit older. So, yeah, we got him that, and he absolutely loves it. So again, be intentional about your toys. So here are just a couple of ideas on how we do things and how we've kind of evolved throughout the years. So we kind of give our kids about 3 gifts every year. We have sort of like a semi-big gift, I guess you would say. And that could be individual, or we do a group gift. So last year we got the kids a very big gift of an outdoor play set. And that was their main Christmas gift. And they actually got that a little bit before Christmas, but that's what we got them. And then they got about they got two little gifts from us. And that's all they got. That's all they got for Christmas from us. They got a few things from other people, but that's what we did. And one of those, I know from one of those gifts that they each got was a book or something. I think my youngest one got some drawing stuff. So that's what we wanted to get them. This year, they're each having a largest gift, and then the other 2 gifts are like small things. And again, they're like a book or 2, or like some art supplies, that sort of thing. So we really kind of think of, our kids, what do you think they'll like? But we really rein it in. And I've been very intentional because I know that I've done this in the past for a couple of years where I've been intentional and I've bought their presents kind of early on to be like, oh, got that done. And then a week before Christmas, my husband and I are out and he's like, oh, let's get them this. And I'm like, no, I've already bought them presents. And he's like, oh, and then I'm second guessing like, oh, should we get him another one? And then, if I buy this one something, I've got to buy the other 2 something. And so then we just spend, and it's just like, even what we bought at the last minute, they don't care about. So I definitely do not do that. When the gifts are ordered, they're done. It's great. Also, when it comes to gifts that other people get them, people kind of know me now. They know to ask, or I gently ask them what they are considering giving my kids. And I'm not mean about this. I'm just very intentional. And because I have done it a couple of years, people are just, they kind of ask me these days. Same with my parents. My mom loves to give gifts, and she probably would just give them whatever. But I still am like, oh, they would really enjoy this. And if you got them this or something along these lines, you don't need to be getting them all this stuff. Just here are a few ideas. And I always have ideas in the back of my head. And that's from gathering information when the kids are like, oh, I would love this. I'm like, put it on your list. Oh, I would love this. I put it on your list. My 4-year-old has a ton of things on his list. And I'm like, all right, we'll see what you're going to get on your list. So just being realistic about that. The other thing I want to talk about is experiences. I think that this is great for kids, is rather than buying stuff, is to really do experiences. My oldest son absolutely loves experiences, and he remembers them. He remembers a lot. He is very gift, one of his love languages gifts. So he'll remember who got him what. But experiences, hands down, he will always remember, and he always remembers the details very to the T. So I say things like that especially to the grandparents that live close to us. I'm like, well, why don't you just take them to a cricket game or something like that, because he'll actually remember that a little bit more, or take him out to eat. Or I have a friend of mine who says, what do you want me to get your kids? And I said, oh, just get them something that we can, that they can go do and remember. Anyway, she got them a voucher to get this really nice ice cream in our local shop. The kids loved it. They literally just loved it. It's not something that we do all the time. And so my friend said, are you happy if I got them that again this year? And I'm like, yes, because they'll love it. So it's just little things like that. Think about experiences that you can do with them. We take our kids to the city. We do some fun Christmas stuff with them, and they remember those things so much better. So yeah, rethink about, you can get them something physical, but maybe get an experience, do something fun as a family. And yeah, just rethink bringing stuff into your house, because as stuff accumulates, stuff brings stress. That's the best way I can explain it. When you have a lot of stuff, it can be quite stressful. And you don't want that. You don't want that for your, holiday season. You don't want that afterwards. You don't want to be like, oh, we bought them all this stuff. We don't even know where to store it. And this is the same for even if there's a hobby that your family does. We don't really have a hobby that we do, but I know that some people do this. They might go camping, so then the family gets camping stuff so they can all use it together. So just think outside the box of what you can do. If your kids are still small, buy even less, because they're small. They're not going to remember all that stuff. They're more excited with the paper and the things you do. My kids just ask me, when are we baking the cookies? Because that's something that we've started. When we put up the decorations, what Christmas movie are we going to watch? Are we saving this Christmas movie for this night? What are we doing? They're all about just the whole experience of Christmas. So it doesn't have to be all about stuff. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that episode. It's just something that I have just done through the years, especially with having kids, and it's just made things so much easier. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you're notified when new episodes go up. I'll probably be putting out one more episode for the year and then taking a little bit of a break and just reevaluating and see how we go next year. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will chat to you next time.